Hey, I'm back. This is Chandler for Melda Production, and today I want to show you how you can create a chord using the feedback comb filter inside MTurboFilter. This hasn't been released, but I thought I'd show you some cool stuff. If you haven't seen my previous video, check out the other one I did on the feedback comb, but this one is going to let you create a whole chord instead of just one sound. So we have here this just drum sound here, actually click sound. So there's nothing in MTurboFilter. I just click this, you're just hearing loud clicks here. Actually, I might want to turn this down because this is getting a little bit loud. Actually, it's probably easier to just turn down here. Turn that down by a little bit. Now we have TurboFilter in here inside M Sound Factory, and there's nothing in here, so it's not doing anything. We're just getting a click sound. And I'm turning the output down because sometimes this gets loud. Remember, whenever you're doing anything with comb filters, it's a good idea to turn that limiter on here. So what we want to do is first just insert a comb filter. In my previous video, I showed how to do this, so I'm going to go through this a little bit quickly. We're going to insert a feedback comb, not the comb. Make sure you're using the feedback comb. So instead of, you can write out feedback comb, but I'm just going to put FB comb. Okay. Put a parentheses in here. Our first value is going to be our Q value. So this is going to be how much it resonates. Then we need to put in this semicolon and then an F, and this is our frequency value, and then just put another parentheses to end it. Now, when I play this, you should hear something now. Barely. Let's turn the Q value up. Now, when the Q value is all the way up, you can hear like, oh, it kind of sounds like a string. But when it's down, you barely hear it. So we don't really want this range being so small. So as I showed you before, just take the Q here, and we're going to use the exponent value. I'm sorry, I'm using a Japanese keyboard, so this is a little bit weird for me. It's hard to, where is it? Here it is. Okay. So I'm going to use a Q to the power of 0.01. So now, at the very bottom of the range, you're not hearing it, but you see all the way through here, you're getting lots of sound. I might even want to move that up. I don't know. Will this make it better? 0.06. I think that's a good range. So we have our feedback comb. Might be thinking, okay, cool, that's good, but we're only getting one sound. I'm using this inside M Sound Factory, so it's following the pitch, so I can do. Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't play keyboard well. But if you play a chord, you can also do that. Inside M Sound Factory, I think this is fine. However, you might find that, hey, if I use this as a standalone, the MTurboFilter standalone, maybe you'll find it here when it's released, I don't have that ability to pitch track. So if I want to use this with, I don't know, guitar or something else, like that's not going to work. I'm going to need something constant. And so in that case, we can switch it to constant, and you can see here, any key I play is going to play that A, because that's the frequency we have set here. Now, what I want to do here is actually create some major chords. And so what we're going to do is, let's add something in parallel. So we add this P, we're going to add a bracket here. Now everything inside here is going to be in parallel. What I want to do is copy 3 of these here. Copy, put a semicolon here, paste, same thing, semicolon, paste, here. And then make sure I put a bracket to end things at the bottom. If you did everything right, your status should say okay. The problem is we just did the same thing 3 times, so you're just going to get a really loud string sound. So you're thinking like, what is the point of that? How do I make these into a chord? So for that, we're going to need some intervals. And of course, all musical pitches are intervals. So if we look here, you see it. So 1-to-1 ratio, which is what we have, is going to be unison. So whatever we play, that note's going to come out. But let's say we want a perfect fifth to make a major chord. For that, we're going to need a 2-to-3 ratio. And so that means we can go in here, make sure it's 3/2 in this case, and add that in here. We're going to multiply that by our frequency. So in this case, we have our frequency here. We're going to multiply it. Make sure we use parentheses. We're going to do 3 over 2, and make sure ending parentheses here. Okay, actually, get rid of this here. So now this should just have 2 intervals together. It should sound like a perfect fifth. You can hear that. Sounds like a perfect fifth. Perfect. What we're going to do here is just copy this and paste it. And we probably want another interval in there. Let's say a major third, because we want a major chord. So the ratio of a major third is 5 over 4. What we're going to do for the second one is change this to 5, not 35, and change this to 4. Now we should get a major chord. And we can always increase the Q value here. There you go. If you want to create something different, so you think like, okay, that's good, but I don't want a major chord, let's try minor chord. Just look at the minor third ratio, so it's 6 over 5. I know it says here 6 to 5 ratio, but when you're putting it in there, make sure you put 6 first over the 5. So let's change this. 6 to 5. Here we go. Minor. And let's say we want like a sustained chord. So let's take a perfect fourth. So that's 4 over 3. Here and 3. So you can see here, we created nice chords using this. And if you're thinking like, I don't really like all that high end, one thing I could change this source so it doesn't have so much high end. But another thing I could do is I could add a low pass or high pass filter before or after this to try to tame it just a little bit. I think it's maybe possible to put in the feedback loop of these, but that's probably going to take lots of CPU, so I don't really want to do that. So let's choose LP6 here. I'm going to add something here. Let's say if I add 5,000. I'll put that there too. Let's hear it. Try 500. That's probably too much. Now, if you're thinking like, I don't really like this here, and I want to be able to adjust it. As we did before, what we can do is we can multiply this by 1 plus, here's our plus sign, C. C is our character here. And make sure we put an ending parentheses here. So as I move this up and down, it's going to change it. So now it's at 0. That means it's just going to be 5,000 like this. If I move it down, it should cut off the high end. And if I move it up, it should give us a little bit more high end. It's not quite doing as much as I want. I might move this down to, let's say, 2,000. So that way it opens up a little bit more here. There we go. And by using this and checking the different intervals, we can come up with lots of different sounds. So I have this like sus chord here, but of course you could use any type of chord. You can also try moving this to the back. I don't know how different it'll sound if I move it to the end of the algorithm versus the beginning. Sometimes it makes a difference, sometimes it doesn't. It's here. In this case, I don't think it really makes a difference. But as you can hear, you can use this and adjust it in many different ways. I can turn the Q down. Actually, I like that. That's kind of cool. And we can turn it up. And of course, you can adjust the character for maybe lower frequency or maybe lower frequency cutoff or higher. So if you feel there's too much treble, you can adjust it. On top of that, you can change the frequency here. So here I have it at 0, so it's following my keys. But I can move it up an octave. Etc. Now, if you're using this standalone, you don't have that. Everything's going to be constant. So any note I hit here now is going to be A. Or I could change it like this, C. Or any other note you can find on here. You can even do weird frequencies that, aren't in tune if you want. But hopefully this gives you an idea of something you can do with it. Hopefully soon I'll make another video showing something really cool you can do with this idea, and I won't be doing it in mSound Factory, but I'll do it in the actual MTurboFilter. But if you like this, give me a thumbs up, leave me any questions or comments down below, and be sure to check out all the other plugins at meldaproduction.com. Till next time, see you.